Hello everyone and welcome. Today I have something exciting for you. I'm going to show you how to create this page which allows you to collect emails when they land on this page. So this is also known as an email opt-in or how to collect your email leads. So when they enter their first name and email address and hit subscribe, we have an automated system on our website that allows them to get an email to download their freebie. We're going to automatically send them a thank you email and then we're going to apply a tag. We're also going to check if they've really downloaded it. If they haven't, we're going to wait one day and then over here we're going to send a reminder email and then this is where it ends. But over here, if they've gone ahead and downloaded it, we're going to come over here and thank them. So this system here is automated. So I'm going to show you step by step how to bring this all together. This is automated. It's going to save you a lot of time. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you that we are going to be using Divi and FluentCRM. Both these products have discounts. All that information is in the video description below. If you do buy any of these products using my affiliate link, I have courses to help you get started with these products. So for example, with Divi, I have the web design formula, a course that teaches you how to design professional looking websites from scratch. And it also teaches you how to use Divi. The same applies with FluentCRM. I also have an email marketing automation course that teaches you how to automate your emails with FluentCRM. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to start off by building our page. So let's head over now to our WordPress website. So over here, we're going to create a brand new page. So I'm going to click here on Add New. So the theme of my landing page is going to be swimming. So let's just call this Swimming Lessons, or we just call it Swimming. I'm going to click here on Use Divi Builder. So for this design, we're going to build everything from scratch. So I'm going to come over here and click on Build from Scratch. And now we are going to go with a single column. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And in that single column, we're going to add some text. And I'm going to just add some dummy text in here. This is going to be the description of my landing page. So I'm going to come over here, add my text, and I need to center it. So let's go over here to Design, Text, and we are going to style this and change this font here to, let's say, Poppins. I'm going to select my font, but of course you can use any font you want. I'm going to increase the size here to make this nice and big. And then over here, we're going to change this from regular to bold and center it. So I'm going to come all the way down here and center my text. Now we are going to go back in here and style it a bit more because we need to add a background image. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save. Next, what I've done ahead of time is I went to a website called pexels.com. I've typed in here swimming. So I got this image here, which I already downloaded and added to my media library. So all I have to do now is to add that image over here in the background. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to my image, click on background, and then I'm going to click on the third tab. So this tab here is important because this is what allows us to add our image. So I'm going to select my image like that and upload an image. Okay, great. So now I have my image here in my background. The next step now is to decide how we're going to have contrast on our design. So in this case, we want to make this image here darker. To achieve that, we need to go back over here to our background and choose a really dark color. So I'm going to go with this color here. And back on the image, I'm going to come all the way down here to my blending modes. I'm going to choose multiply, and you notice right away our image has gone really dark. So this is where now we need to go back now to the background color, click anywhere in here and add some transparency just like that. So you can choose the amount that you think works for you. So I think I'm going to go with that, okay, because we really want our text to stand out. So now I'm going to save. Next, I'm going to go now into my text here, make it bigger and change the color. So I'm in my settings, click here on design, and then we're going to go into text. So here now we're going to make our text white. Now notice how this color now really stands out. It really looks nice. So we can now increase the size a little bit because this is going to be our main sort of like title on our page. So I'm going to leave this at 40 and add some line height because right now, as we look at this, our text is quite close together. So let's give this some line height. So in fact, you know what? Let's start with 1. See what that looks like. Yeah, pretty much that's not bad. But of course, if you need to increase it by a few increments, you can see here that's looking much better already. Next, our text is way too wide. So what we need to do is to reduce our width. So I'm going to come over here to sizing. And for our width here, let's see. We're going to just play around with this until we're happy with it. I normally go with 80 depending on how much text I have. So I think 80 is going to work well for us. And then I'm going to center it. All right, great. So far so good. I'm now going to save this. And this is what it looks like. But we're not done yet because we also need the element that allows us to collect our emails. So now we're going to click here on this plus button and add a regular column. And in here, we're going to add let's go with a single column. And for this, we're going to go and just add some text for now. And let's add some dummy text in here. Back over here, I'm just going to paste it over my text. And let's just leave this like this for now. Okay, so far we've managed to create our main background image here and our text that describes what our website is about. And then below here is where we're going to have our email opt-in. So when it comes to email opt-ins, we're going to need to have an email service provider. These are companies that have databases where you can add all your leads onto that database. So there's several types. There's MailChimp, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, Aweber, and so on. But the one I really like is FluentCRM because FluentCRM allows you to have this service on your actual website, and it's also very, very cheap to send emails out. Let's go ahead and let's install FluentCRM. Okay, so over here now I have an account. So I just need to go and download it and install it on my site. Okay, so in my dashboard, I'm going to come over here to my downloads. So what I need here is FluentCRM Pro, which is this one. So I'm going to go ahead and copy my license. And then below here is where I can now download the product. So this is FluentCRM Pro. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And now it's downloaded onto my computer. Now, the next thing we need to do is to head over here to our site. And let's open our dashboard in a new tab because, oops, it's asking me to save and exit. So let's save first before we move away from this. Okay, so I'm going to exit the Visual Builder. We are going to come back and log into this page. So for now, I need to open my dashboard in a new tab. So I'm just going to hold the Command key. This way I can switch between the two windows as I'm designing my site. Okay, so over here now, we need to go into our plugins. So I'm going to come over here to plugins, click on add new. The first plugin we need to install is called FluentCRM. So this is the first basic one, which doesn't have a lot of the features that we're going to need. So I'm going to click now on install. Next, I'm going to hit activate. Okay, great. So I've installed that. Next, I'm going to install the Pro version, which has all our features that we need for future if we need to automate our system. So I'm going to come over here to click on add new. And now I am going to upload the plugin because this time it's downloaded. I'm going to drag and drop it here. Click install now and then activate the plugin. Now we can see an entry here which says FluentCRM. So everything is connected now, which is great. So all I have to do now is to add my license. I'm going to come over here to settings and then over here where it says license management. Mine here is already activated, but this is where you would come in and paste your license key. Once you're done with that, pretty much you're good to go. The next step now is to just make sure everything is working okay here. So I'm going to come over here to my dashboard and I can see here that everything seems to work fine. The next step now is to create a tag. So every time someone signs up on your mailing list, we need to have a tag that identifies them as they sign in to download our freebie. Okay, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do now is to come over here to contacts and then go to tags. So I have two tags here already created. Let me just delete that so it doesn't confuse us. Right, so to create a new tag, so we're going to click here on create tag and we can name this whatever we want. So we can call this subscriber or downloaded freebie or something like that. So, okay, so we're going to call this downloaded freebie and confirm. Great. So the next step now that we've created our tag, we also need to add a list. This is where everyone is going to be added into. So I'm going to come over here to lists and we can see here we don't have anything on our list. I'm going to create a brand new one by clicking here on create list. We're going to give this a name. So I'm just going to call this freebies or freebie download. I'm going to confirm that. So that's pretty good. All right, so we are almost ready to go now because all we need is to add our form on our site. So to add our form, all we need to do is to head over to our tab, which we created earlier on. which is right here. So let's go in and let's create our opt-in. So to do that, we're going to click here on Enable Visual Builder. We're just going to go back into our builder and start building. So remember, we created this earlier on. So we need to now go in here and add everything that we need. So first of all, I am going to reduce the width of my row here. So I'm going to click on Row Settings, Design, Sizing, and I'm just going to make sure this is about 60. We don't want this too big. Okay, next I'm going to come over here to Content, go to my background, and we need to give this a background color so it really stands out on our site. So we're going to go with this color here. And over here on the design, we're going to give this some rounded corners. So I'm going to go to my border. So let's give this about 6. All right, great. Now, I know you can't see the text in here, but it's way too close to the edge. In fact, you know what? Let me save and let's take a look at the text here so you can see what I mean. So I'm going to go to my module settings here and go to design. And over here on text, we need to change this to white or even a lighter color. So I think let's go with white. So you can see what I mean. The text is way too close to the edge. We are going to fix this in a moment. All right, so now that I have this all set, I just need to center it and change my font. There we go, I've centered it. And then all I need to do now is to change my font by coming over here. Let's give this Poppins. Here we go, just like that. Increase the size a little bit. This time it doesn't have to be too much. So let's go with 18. And I also need to have some sort of a title here because the way the text looks, it looks like we just need to add a title there and make it bold. So let's set this to heading 2. So now we just need to go into heading 2. So we're going to go to heading text, heading 2, and just make sure that this is set to white. And we're going to change this to bold. All right, so now that stands out a bit more. It looks much, much better. Next, we're going to save. And then we're going to add another module here by clicking this plus button. The next module is an email opt-in. I'm going to select that. So first of all, it comes in like this by default. But you know what? We need to get rid of everything. We don't need all of this. So I'm going to highlight all my text here and delete it. We're going to go to the top here and delete that. So all we have now is the form. All right, so we can see that we have a background here and we're not really a fan of that. So let's get rid of our background by coming over here, make it transparent so that it really stands out from the back, which is great. So far, so good. The next step now is to head over here to our settings. So I'm going to go in and just make sure everything is okay here because our field's background color can be adjusted further by just going in here and adding a bit of transparency just to stylize this a little bit, make it a bit different. Maybe we should start off with white. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Now let's go on to the text. So our fields, text color. So for this, we're going to set this to white. And we're also going to change our font. So we want to make sure everything is pretty much consistent. So we're going to add our Poppins here. We're also going to make it all caps. And we're going to add a bit of letter spacing. Does that look great? Maybe not. Okay, so let's leave it like that. That's fine. Next, we need to work on our button here. So I'm going to go into this little paintbrush icon to go into my button settings. I'm going to activate use custom styles for button. And I'm going to change my button text. Oops. I think for this here, let's go with white as well. But for our button background, we're going to use this. And we're also going to add that as the border. And finally, we're also going to work on our text. Let's change this to Poppins. And let's make it all caps. And instead of saying download, we actually can change this text here to reflect anything that we want. So for now, I'm just going to leave it as subscribe. All right, great. So the next step now is to just save. And we just want to add some breathing space in here because right now things don't look great. Everything is way too close to the edges. So I'm going to go into my row settings one more time. And this time we're going to go into design and go into spacing. So let's add our padding here. So let's start with 2%. I'm going to give the same to the bottom. And I'm also going to do the same here. Okay, so I've added 2% both to the top and the bottom. So I'm going to use this dial now to just make sure everything is centered the way I want. So maybe we should go with perhaps maybe 3%. Okay, let's try 4%. I'm going to do the same here for the top and bottom as well. So we're going to go with 4%. And I think this has some breathing space now and things look much better. All right, so with that said, I am going to now save this. And as you can see, that looks really nice now. Great. The next step now is I'm just going to drag this up and give this some negative margin so it can come all the way to the top here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover on the top here and just drag this, keep going until we get up to about here. This is just a kind of like a design thing that I'm putting here so that the page looks really nice. It doesn't have a lot of white space around it. All right, so now that we've added it there, the next step now is to connect our form and just make sure that it collects all our emails. So I'm going to click on this gear icon to go into my email opt-in settings. So in here, I am going to, first of all, go into the fields because we do not want to collect the last name. We just want our first name and email. In fact, we can even get rid of the first name as well if we wanted to, but let's leave this for now. So now that I've removed the surname, the next step is to connect our form with FluentCRM. So every time someone subscribes, they get added onto our email database. So let's do that. So to do that, we need to come over here to email account. By default, we have MailChimp. But if we click on this drop down, we notice that we have all these options. Okay, so in our case, we installed FluentCRM. Go ahead, select that. On the bottom here, we're going to add our list. So we have, in fact, this list doesn't look right. So let me just click on add. Let's add our account name. And for our account name here, it's the swimming. So I'm just going to say swimming. So the reason why I'm entering this as swimming is because if you're going to have different email opt-ins, you need to be able to select the right one. So in this case, this one here is swimming a freebie. I'm going to hit submit. Okay, so now I'm going to go down and you see swimming freebie has been added here. So I have my tag and I also have my list. So I want these people to be added to a mailing list. So I'm going to select my mailing list like that. Click on add. All right, I think that's worked. So the next step now is to come over here to success action. And on the success action, we need to decide whether we're going to have a thank you page or just a message. So I can just say here, check your email. So here I'm just going to say thanks, check your email for freebie. Fantastic. So now that I have this all done, I'm going to save this. And so far, so good. So I'm going to save this and exit the Visual Builder. Let's save and exit. Now make sure you save this because otherwise all the work that we've done here would have pretty much gone to waste. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to come over here to default template and select blank page. So this removes the header and the footer on this particular page. I'm going to hit update and then view the page. Great. So now we can see we don't have a header and we don't have a footer. So this is simple. This is how we create our main landing page. The next step now is to test and see if this actually works. So let's go ahead and add our first name. So I'm going to give this my first name and email, hit subscribe. And now it's saying, thanks, check your email for the freebie, which is fantastic. Next, I'm going to come now to my list here and see if this has worked. So I'm going to go to my main dashboard here. And already we can see straight away, we have one subscriber. Now to prove that that was me that added this, I'm going to now go to all contacts. And you can see here, Augustine, and that's my email address. If I click here, there's even more information. It tells me now I've been added to this list, which is brilliant. And if I scroll down here, if there's any emails that I've read, this will show up here. And if there's any notes or activities, that will show here too. So you can take this a step further. And as soon as someone signs up for this product or this freebie, we can set up an email automation system. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to do that. So for our email automation system, all we need to do now is to come over here to automations, create new automation, and we are going to say this is for the freebie, right? So just so that we know which email list this is or this email automation is. So I'm going to say list applied. I'm going to hit continue. I'm going to select the list. Now remember, we created it earlier on. It's the freebie download, like that. And I'm just going to save settings. Great. So our email automation here is going to start when someone gets added to that mailing list. So now we can click on this plus button and say, you know what, let me send a custom email. And here, this can be a thank you email, and we can give it a subject here. Okay, so we said download your freebie. And now we can say hello, and we can type our message in here. So let's say this is our message. We can also add a button here to download the freebie. So I'm just going to add a /, and this shows me all my blocks. So I'm going to choose buttons. And in here, as a description, I'm just going to say download here. We can further customize this button here, but you know what? We're going to leave this as it is. Next, this is where you add your URL. So I'm just going to add a blank one for now, but in your case, this is where you'd add your URL for your download. So this is pretty good. All I have to do now is to save settings. And we can further extend this by saying once they download this, let's give them a tag. So I'm going to come over here and say apply tag. And the tag we already created, we can say downloaded a freebie. Okay, that's great. I'm going to select my tag here and save settings. So far what we've done is we've triggered this automation funnel when someone gets added to a mailing list. Once they download it, they're going to get a tag to tell us that they've downloaded it by clicking that button, which is brilliant. So we can further extend this by perhaps sending them more emails about other videos or other products that you may have, be it paid or subscriptions, whatever it is, in that email sequence. So this is the power of adding our email sequence to our automation when we allow people to download our freebie. All right, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.